driveway and parked my humble Corolla next to a gleaming Bentley. Then I checked my teeth in my rearview mirror for any stray pieces of lettuce left over from the jumbo jack I'd picked up on my way over. Satisfied that all was clear on the dental front, I gave myself a quick blast of Bananka and tugged a few unruly curls back into my ponytail. Finally, plucking a stray French fry from my lap, I got out of the Corolla and looked around. What a palace. The kind of place God would build if he had money. I was beginning to regret my decision to wear my usual work outfit of jeans and a blazer. A place like this called for something a lot fancier, like the British Crown jewels and a blazer. Why the heck was a woman with SueEllen's money calling a writer from the Yellow Pages? I'd checked her out on Google before I left my apartment and found her name scattered on the society pages of the Los Angeles Times. SueEllen was apparently a party giver and fundraiser par excellence. Surely she had access to scads of well-known writers. So why, I asked myself again, had she called anonymous old me? Oh well. Who cared why she called? Just as long as her check didn't bounce. And from the looks of the place, I was sure it wouldn't. I headed up the front path and rang the bell. Now, I don't know if they have a doorbell at Versailles, but if they do, I'll bet it sounds just like the Kingsleys. A series of mellifluous bongs resonated from inside the house. Seconds later, the door was opened by a timid Hispanic maid holding a bottle of Windex. "Hi," I smiled. "I'm Jaine Austen. I have an appointment with Mrs. Kingsley." "Si," she said, eyes lowered, clutching her Windex to her chest. She spoke softly in a heavily accented voice. "Mrs. Kingsley having her massage. She wants you to wait in the living room." I followed her as we hiked across the foyer. A wide, curving staircase with gleaming mahogany banisters ascended to the floor above. I almost expected to see Scarlett O'Hara come skipping down the steps, twirling her parasol. The living room was huge, with hardwood floors, an exposed wood-beam ceiling, and a fireplace as big as my kitchen. I took a seat in one of the many overstuffed armchairs dotted throughout the room. The maid asked me if I wanted anything to drink, and seemed relieved when I said no. As she skittered away, presumably to do battle with dirty windows, I glanced down and saw a grease stain on my blouse, probably from the French fry that dropped in my lap. Oh, great. Now I'd have to spend the entire interview with my blazer buttoned, which wasn't going to be easy since I'd bought the blazer 2 sizes too small. It was on sale at Ann Taylor, the only one they had left, reduced 70%. I went ahead and bought it, figuring I'd never have to button the damn thing. Now I sucked in my gut and was struggling with the buttons when I heard, "He'll never last a week." I looked across the room, and for the first time, I noticed a young girl nestled in an armchair underneath a huge bay window. She was a chubby kid, about 15, with soft brown eyes and an old-fashioned Dutch boy haircut. Something about her looked vaguely familiar, and then I realized, good heavens, she was me at 15. Not that I have brown eyes, mine are green, and when I was 15 I wasn't quite as chunky as this girl, but there was something about her that reminded me of the young Jaine Austen. Maybe it was the book she was reading, Stiff Upper Lip, by the British humorist P.G. Wodehouse. When I was a teenager, I was crazy about his books. In fact, I still am. But it's not every day you see a teenager reading Wodehouse. "Nobody ever lasts a week," she said, looking up at me from under her thick bangs. "Sooner or later, they all quit." So that's why SueEllen was willing to hire a writer from the Yellow Pages. No reputable writer would work for her. "She's nice at first, but then she turns mean. You'll see." "So your mom's tough to work for, huh?" The kid looked at me as if I'd just offered her a worm for lunch. "SueEllen isn't my mother," she said, with all the warmth of Christina Crawford talking about Joan. "She's my stepmother. My real mother's dead."